Guys, you got to play Memphis in the second round. Do you even bother thinking about that, or just one win at a time?
Yeah, definitely we want to focus on Wichita State right now. We split with them in the regular season, so we know they're a tough team coming in. So all focus on them. Definitely getting this win, and then eventually move on to the tournament.
Yeah, like Kobe said, just one game at a time. We split. We beat them at their home court, and they beat us at our home court. So just going there on a neutral court, just getting that first win, I think will set us up for the rest of the tournament.
Last year you went in as the conference champion. A little different dynamic. You basically have to win the tournament to get to the dance, correct?
Oh yes, that's what we believe. Just coming with a gritty mindset. That's what we thrive on every day. It's just like we said, when we get there, we're gonna take one game at a time. Focus on our preparation for each game, but just rely on our hard work and hang your head on defense. And so we think that will get us along in the tournament.
Oh yeah. Like we said before, just taking it one game at a time, being focused on being present in the moment, possession by possession. Obviously, it's win or go home at this point now. So, just being more locked in than ever that we've been all season, locked in on the scout details and just trusting our preparation and our work that we've been doing all season. I think once we just fall back on what we've been working on all season, the work that we put in, listening to the coaches, I think we'll be right in a position to get the first win. And then whoever else we see after that, it's the same thing, one game at a time.
You guys, who the two of you like the most about your team? And I asked that question against the overwhelming backdrop, should we say, that you lost your beloved coach before the season started. What is it about this group that you really, really have enjoyed most?
I would say just being able to lean on each other, like definitely during the hard times and then good times throughout the season. Just being able to lean on each other, and just having your brother right there next to you, whether it's on the court and off the court. So we got a good on the court and off the court relationships, and we just want to be able to show that, like as we go into this tournament, that we are the most connected team in the tournament, and we're going to show that every game.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Just our connectedness and our love for each other. There's been a lot of highs and lows throughout the season, and no matter what, we just always stuck together. We hang out with each other 24/7 at the apartments, and we come to the gym with each other. So, like, we're with each other all day. And, no matter how many losses we took this season or how many wins we had, we were always came back with a smile the next day in practice, back in the apartments, hanging out with each other. So I feel like that's the most important thing I took away from this season, just the relationships that we're gonna have past basketball. Obviously the season's gonna end, and we're still gonna have these relationships forever. I'll still be able to call Kobe, Coach Fletcher, anybody on the team, and just talk to them whenever about maybe not even basketball related, just checking in on how they're doing. So I feel like that's what I love most about this team is just our love for each other off the court, which also translates to on the court and how hard we play for each other.
And on the court, what might have been the biggest challenge for the team during the regular season? If indeed there's one thing you could point
I feel like we battled a couple injuries this year. So, like, we had a lot of people in and out the lineups and, just a lot of moving parts. Some guys missed a couple games and some guys sat out. So we just finding that, common, I guess.
like a cohesiveness or something?
Basically, yeah. I was looking for the word, but cohesiveness. I feel like that's probably been our biggest challenge. But once we all settle in and find a rhythm together, I feel like we're one of the most dangerous teams in the conference. So, just going into the tournament, just finding that cohesiveness, I feel like nobody's going to want to see us.
Jaden and Kobe, when you look at the game at Wichita State, it might have been your best game of the year, most complete game. What are your memories of that, and what do you just think of the matchup, how you guys match up with those guys, and why maybe you were so successful that first time out?
Yeah, the first game at their crib, I feel like we just came in with a huge chip on our shoulder. It was our first away conference game, and our mentality that game was just different. You could tell. So I feel like we match up well with them. Obviously, we split with them in the regular season, but they have great players, and we have great players. So I'm excited for the matchup. We know each other very well, obviously. So just this game is going to be more scout oriented. Obviously we know they know what we do, we know what they do. So just little things to maybe take them, get a couple possessions get a couple possessions, like where we prevent them from scoring, or certain things that they do when we could counter it. It's gonna be a good matchup, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely piggyback off what Jaden said. Just bring that physicality to the table. That first game we played in Wichita, we really saw our true potential as a team, and we know that it's still there, and we can always get back to that. But it's making shots, moving the ball. Can't remember how many assists we had, but I know it was a lot of assists that game, and just the defense intensity that we had that game. We know we can bring that to the table, and they'll have to be ready for us, just like we'll have to be ready for them.
What do you think about the matchup at Wichita State, Fletch, after learning that you've drawn them and what you remember from the two matchups in the regular season?
Yeah, man, we're just blessed to be in a position to play meaningful basketball in March. As far as the matchup, I think I told you guys this before we played Wichita at home, because I thought a lot of people felt like, a lot of people that I spoke with, they felt like Wichita was going to be an easy game when they came here. And I kept telling people, man, they're a lot better than what their record is showing. And as you know, after beating us here in a close game, I think they went on to win 6 or 7 in a row, including Memphis and a lot of others. So a really talented team, a team that will play 4 guards like us, but then they have an anchor inside in Ballard. Really good shot blocker, really efficient around the rim, shooting over 70% from the field. So it's either a dunk or a layup every time he catches it. So it's going to be a different game for us. I mean, in essence, they play 4 guards, but they really want to paint. They really want to paint like most teams in this league do, but they do as good a job as any as changing their looks to get you in isos and create angles, and they're really good at it. So, it's some things we'll have to do here in the next couple of days to get prepared for it. Thankfully, we got a couple of days to kind of get prepared for it, because, like I said, it's one of those games where, like, you don't want to see them that second day where you don't have much time to prepare for them. So, like I said, luckily we have a few days to prepare before we hit the road and head out there.
Everybody has roster attrition this time of year. You guys obviously have had some. Could you just speak to the challenge and depth in playing 4 games in as many days? Have you ever done that in your life?
Me, as a player?
Player or coach?
Yeah. So back in 2017 when I was at Troy, we had a team that finished 6th in the league, but we were probably a game away from 2nd in the league. So it was a jumble at the top. And, we had a team that won 4 games, 4 games in 5 days, I think it was. And we went on to play against Duke in the NCAA tournament. So I've had numerous times of playing in conference tournaments. Been fortunate enough to go to the 3 NCAA tournaments, and played in a lot of championship games as well. So, it's like the player said. This time of year, I think people get so fixated on the tournament that you forget about the small things it takes to get there. And the biggest thing right now for us is preparing for Wichita State. The more you get blindsided by worrying about the tournament, man, you put pressure in there that doesn't need to be there. Man, you got to have a laser-like focus on the details of the scout getting ready for Wichita State, and that's where we are right now.
Do you feel the team understands that, to stay in the moment and focus on the shoppers? And
if they don't, they will,
yeah.
because that's going to be the message. We still have to flush Memphis, so we'll watch film on that today. And then we'll jump straight into Wichita State. Like I said, with them finishing late yesterday, we had already practiced. So, we haven't had any prep because it was still in the air whether we would play Temple, Wichita, or even at one point Florida Atlantic could have even been in play. A lot of things would have had to go a certain way, but, we didn't want to lean either way on anybody. We wanted to keep it neutral. And so yesterday was a more of a skill development day. to get back to the basics on some stuff that we got some time to clean up, and then today we'll jump straight into scout.
Can you speak to what Kobe spoke about and how close this team became off the court?
Yeah.
And they really lean on one another and how that's helped carry them through the season?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you go through an ordeal like these guys have had to go through, it's not easy. And I think what people see is surface. You know, you see them play a game, but you don't see what they go through every single day. You know, that type of loss, it just doesn't go away, you know, mainly because these guys came specifically, a lot of these guys specifically came to play for Amir. And so, you know, in a way, it's unfair for them. And that's why I think a lot of people have to give them grace. Amir was very intentional about his relationships with all of these guys, not just the starters. It was every single guy that came into this program he had a special relationship with. And so, you know, for those guys not having that, you know, it sparked something. And so I think what they did, they rallied together after that accident happened, and they've bonded more and more as the season's gone on because that's the thing that Amir would have wanted for them, you know, is to lean on and trust each other. Excuse me, these allergies are tearing me up today.
You think people are giving you grace? I mean, you were thrown into the worst situation of all.
I can't worry about that. I can't worry about that. The only thing I am focused on right now is to get these guys prepared for Wichita State. The opinion that people have on me, I can't let that affect me, both good or bad. You know, after a win, I can't sit here and look at the cheers, right? Just as if we lose one, I can't look at the boos. You know, I have to be even killed so we can find a way to get these guys even killed and ready to play.
Coach, in the beginning of the season,
Yes, sir.
you talked about how this wasn't just a next day process. It was going to take time
Right.
for these kids to get used to it. People don't understand. You just don't go, okay, let's move on. The program needed time to basically grieve and then develop. Do you agree with that?
Definitely, man. You know, starting for me and the staff, you know, I know for me personally, you know, you're with somebody for 6 years, you know, it don't take a couple months to just push that to the side, you know. It's things that happen daily that spark memories and, you know, both good and bad. So, you know, it's just one of those deals, you know, but I know I have to be that guy for those guys to make sure they have an example. And that's all I've wanted to do this year is be the example for those guys on showing up every day, no matter how you feel, you know.
Coach, the last 4 or 5 games, a slow start.
Yeah.
You know, you've been looking up at it,
Right.
trying to catch up. Anything you can try to do to get that to change?
Well, I thought last game we bounced back from that, you know, because we made a concerted effort. We were like, man, look, if we quit spotting people, you know, 12 to 15 points in that first half, you know, we're going to give ourselves a chance, you know, when it's winning time. Well, we come out and we were tied at half with Memphis. I mean, I thought our guys played their hearts out defensively, like really active hands. I think it was close to 9 or 10 turnovers in that first half. And then I thought the second half, man, we let the crowd in the game early. They came down. It was a broken play. They made a 3. We come down, and instead of, you know, running the play, a guy tripped. And so we had an open 3 in the corner, and we took that. We probably should have just pulled it out and ran the play. And then they come down and hit another 3, and now the crowd is in the game. And I thought that really had a lot to do with the run that they went on.
Coach, my last question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Live ball turnovers are poison, aren't
Yes. And that's, you know, this time of year, those kill you. You know, I'd rather you punt it in the stands before you give it to them, or pick sixes, what they call it. Before we have one of those, I'd rather you punt it in the stands, and that way we got a chance to set our defense. Because a team like Memphis, they thrive on those. And that's what we did in the first half. I think we only had 3 3, maybe 4 turnovers in the first half, but they weren't live ball. And so we were able to set our defense and then have them go against a set defense. We were able to change our defense to get them different looks as well. So, you know, it's big for us. You know, offensively, we just have to be better, make better decisions. And I think, you know, we've done some things here in the last couple of days to try to help us with that moving forward.
In a year rife with challenges, what has been the biggest challenge for you this season?
Man, I think it was the timing of it. You know, you talk about this happened 2 days before we were supposed to go scrimmage against Miami. Well, now, you know, we're less than a week from playing Edward Waters. And so, you know, if you tell me today, Fletcher, you're a head coach this next coming year, there's some things that I would love to get done, you know, to get myself prepared. Like, sure, you know, seeing it done and being there, you know, seeing it being done is totally different from now all of a sudden, like, you're making that decision. You're not just offering suggestions. So that's a lot different. And so, you know, I think that the timing was the hardest thing for me. But like I said, I know this. I've put the team first ever since that day, and that's what we'll continue to do in this program.
Coach, I'm going to steal one more.
Yes, sir.
When Harry Truman became president and Franklin Roosevelt died, he put a sign on his desk, "The buck stops here." The buck stops with you now, and that's a totally different animal from being an assistant, being a head coach, isn't it?
No doubt, no doubt. It's, you know, a lot more responsibility. You know, as an assistant, man, I think, you know, what made this staff really good is, man, as an assistant, man, my time was spent with the players, like, at all times. If you hear a ball bouncing in there, is one of us probably in there, you know. So now that changes because, you know, I was probably working every third or fourth scout to I got all of them now, you know. So that's a lot tough. That's a lot tougher than that 25% ratio, you know. So the workload changes, and you have to find time to manage your time, and that's been the biggest deal. Just, you know, learning to manage my time.
When you look at your shooting the last few games, something, and particularly from three-point range, hasn't been that great. Whether it's shot selection, who's taking the shots, the whole thing, anything you see that needs to get a lot better to make it better?
Yeah, I thought Memphis, you know, a lot of it was due to their crowd. So we were unorganized because guys didn't hear the full play. So I had 3 guys knowing what we were in, but then we had 2 others that thought we were in something totally different that ended up leading to shot clock violations. So, you know, getting organized, guys playing different positions, you know, so we've spent a lot of time the last couple of days of, you know, a lot of 5-on-0, so we know our package going into this Wichita game.